So for this painting tutorial, well, it's not really a strict tutorial, but mainly I'm going to paint a mask. You don't have to paint a mask. You can just use paper, watercolor paper. If you're going to use watercolor, gouache, or you can even use pens, up to you. But it's nice to paint so that it looks like it's the actual mask. Alright, so for today I had reference photos just to see the general design and the general color, and I'll be using these as my inspiration there. Okay, so I'll be using mainly black and red paint and white, of course, if I want to white it. Oh, really? You're a coffee drinker then. So how many cups do you normally drink a day? I used to drink a lot too, maybe 4 or 5 cups, but I've lessened it because sometimes I had palpitations. But yeah, well, coffee is hard to resist. All right, so we can start. Okay, let's see. I'm going to, oh my gosh, 3 pots. You're something else. Okay, I'm surprised you're not getting heart palpitations. Okay, so that's how much you love coffee. All right, I can relate. I love coffee too. All right, so I'm just on my desk, so I'm gonna flip the camera down and flip it around, so don't get confused. I'm gonna set it right so that you will see my my desk. All right, so I'll flip it down. See? Okay, so there you go. So now I'll flip it around to make it right, and there you go. Okay, so for this tutorial, or at least my painting a mask style, I'm gonna be using acrylic because I want that I can display the mask without worrying that the paint will be reactivated. So acrylic is great for that. It dries fast and you can't move it no matter how much you wet it afterwards. All right, so let's see. Or you can also use gouache, and then you can always seal it with varnish on top. So you also have that that option. Okay, so for this I don't really have black, or maybe I can't find it, so I'm going to be using raw umber, and then let's see, I'm going to use Darkening red. Okay, and I'll just have white on the side just in case. I'll just have it ready. Okay, so here I already did my pre-sketch, so you can really totally have fun with this, just as long as you have the typical skull, which is, of course, you're gonna shadow this part. So I already covered the circumference, like here and here, and the nose. So the lips part, I do rather like the reddish lip here, and then with the stitching of this line that makes it look like it's teeth. Okay, and then of course we also need to add design here. You can make it as intricate as you want, or a simpler version. Up to you. You can totally keep adding as much as you want. Okay, so I just used a plastic plate. Actually, it's very handy. It's very light, and it's quite easy to peel off dried acrylic from this kind of plate. So if I'm not there at my easel, then I just use this plate. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll start with the dark parts, just to, you know, have it there already, so I can get a hang of the whole look. So let's squeeze out some paint. So with acrylic, since it dries fast, I don't really like to squeeze out too much, because, you know, the paint will dry and it's going to be wasted. So that's just the side of acrylic that's going to take people some adjustment. But of course, you can also have a stay wet palette that will keep it wet for a longer time. But then, you know, you'd have to prep everything. Okay, so for this exercise, I'm going to be using brushes from our Turner collection, Art Supplies, and also from the Fine Line, because I'm going to be needing some miniature or detail brushes to create those finer details. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to be using this angle brush, because I want the edges to be clean and I want to have more control, like that. So the angle brush has this really nice tip. It's flat, so you can spread paint easily, and it has a nice tip to help you with those corners. So this is the main use of the angle brush for me. So you don't use it as often as the other brush, but it does have its uses. Okay, so just let me know if you want me to zoom in further and stuff like that, because I can do that. So now I'm going to zoom in a bit, just so we can focus on the mask more. Okay, and then let's move it down. Okay, there you go. So anytime you have questions, just chat away and I'll keep glancing and seeing if you have any questions, or it doesn't have to be a question, you can just comment away, share your thoughts, anything really. Okay, so let's start. I'm gonna work first on the eyes. I'm gonna work down so that I don't keep smudging. I have that tendency to smudge parts. Okay, so again, oh, this mask actually had like a velvety feel to it, so I first primed it with gesso, just so it's suitable for acrylic. Okay, so let's cover this, and you can totally have fun with your colors. Okay, so here I'm just really inspired by this black and red, and I'm going to focus more on the details rather than play around with the color. So let's see. Okay, so flat brushes are also really great for those edges that you want to make really straight. Okay, thank you for joining me, even if it's for just a bit. Thanks. See you around. Share your works. Okay, so you don't have to make it thick the first layer. Okay, so take your time. You can just quickly fill it in, and then you can always add another layer later. So that's the thing when you're painting. Don't stress about making the first layer look like it's the final, okay, because you can always keep layering. This is true for across all mediums. So for watercolor especially, you can just keep layering to get your desired final look. So I also do that with oil and acrylic. But your first try will just be to get the main look of it, and then you can always add later when you feel like you want to make it darker or you want to add color somewhere. So even if you make a mistake with acrylic or oil, you can just wait for it to dry, or while it's still wet you can scrape it off. Well, acrylic dries fast, so you can just wait for it to dry and then just pile on top or make corrections after. So, but the most forgiving of all is of course oil, because you know it dries longer, so you can actually scrape off the paint if you made a mistake. Okay. And here it's already starting to look like the sockets, the eye sockets of the skull. Okay, so that's why I love the angle brush. It can really help you with those fine corners. those hard to reach corners, and you want to be precise so that the angle of the brush really helps with that. Okay, so once I have that down, now it's already starting to look like, at first it's weird because the mask it looks like an alien face, but now it's starting to look better. So this is actually a mask for kids. I have this left over from my workshop with kids. That's why it's smaller. But it also gives it a nice look. Okay, so who here loves to do or has tried face painting, let's say? It's also a fun way to paint. Your skin or your face is your canvas. Okay, so since I don't normally use black, right now I'm using raw umber. So it's a really deep brown. So I love raw umber. I have both raw umber and burnt umber. So raw umber has a cooler brown shade than burnt umber. So let's see. Let's compare. So here you see it's a more of a chocolatey, a typical chocolate brown, and here it's more of the dark chocolate brown. So cooler, warmer brown. So it's good to play around with your browns as well, because when you mix it with your other colors, they create different effects. So if you want to mix your own, I usually just mix my own black. So I would just use either burnt umber or raw umber with a dark blue, and it gives me a kind of black that I like. Because sometimes when I do use black from a tube, sometimes it looks too flat. So if you don't want a flat black, if you want to mix up your blacks, then you can definitely try to mix your own black, or a semblance of black at least. After all, color mixing is fun. I mean, at first it may seem intimidating, like you're gonna end up with muddy or crap colors, but that's part of it. After you go through that and you get to mix your own lovely colors, there's really, there's no exchanging it for colors from a tube. Especially, I find it especially nice to color mix when I'm painting, for example, foliage or landscapes. It's just nice to create your own greens, your own browns, your own blues. It's just different. It gives you extra depth than just getting colors straight from the tube. Okay, so I suggest you play around with your color mixing. And later, since I'm still painting now, I'll share to you our color mixing guide. So we have both for watercolor and acrylic. Or if you can't wait, you can always go to our website, zenartsupplies.co, and you can find the color mixing guides there for oil and for watercolor. So I always recommend it because it will really help you with your creativity when you mix your own colors. Okay, excuse me. Okay, so looks great. I like it. I mean, just that detail, it's already changed the mask completely. Okay, now let's move down to the nose. Okay, so as you can see, skulls, of course, they lose the skin, they lose the muscle, everything. So now it's to show that it's, it's shadowed. Let's just paint it black. And as you can see, they both, have different ways of doing it. So you can even, create your own style of showing the hole on the nose. So play around with it. Here I chose a spade-like form, just like the one over there. Very similar to how it looks like on the skull. But I've, of course, added extra design to it. So this is really a wonderful way to play around with the skull. So where I'm from now, the Philippines, people have already started to celebrate Halloween, but actually it's not really our traditional celebration. Instead, we actually have the All Souls Day and All Saints Day. So in Mexico, they have this, the Day of the Dead, or the Dia de los Muertos. And this is one of their popular or well-known symbols of that celebration is this, the calavera, the skull. So oh wow. You really do paint. You like to use your, okay, what do you mean you paint using your fingers? You finger paint, or you end up painting on your fingers and your shirt, which is pretty common with us. I think a lot of my house clothes have paint on them. It's a way of life already. Okay, so as you can see, I'm sticking it with I'm sticking with this brush because I can really just twist it around whichever part I need. If I need to cover sections, I use the flat part. If I need to work on the details, then I use the tip. So really great for this kind of exercise. And of course, you can always lift your mask around to help you. So this is the nice thing with painting stuff that you can lift and move around. It's gonna really help you with those tiny difficult parts because you can twist it around. So even if it's not black, since it's a really deep brown, it still gives it that deep shadow effect. So you can also try this with the deep blue. I think that would also look great. You know what to use if you don't want to use black. So you can totally experiment with it and have fun. So here I'm elongating this line. So painting is really, you know, you don't have to plan everything out. It can be just instinctive while you're working on something. Because sometimes when we plan every tiny bit, it can also take the fun out of it. So this is a good way of also trying to paint spontaneously. Okay, so don't stress about making it perfect. Again, you can wait for things to dry and make corrections if you made mistakes. So don't stress about it. Okay, so before I go further and work on the details, I'm first gonna color in the lips. So I have this red here. It's a bit too bright, so I'm gonna mix it with some green just to temper the red down a bit. So if you have colors that you want to use but you find it too bright or too vibrant or anything like that, just choose its opposite color and mix it in slowly so that you don't, you know, you can control the mixture that you want. Just for example, this red, I'll mix it in a little bit of green just to temper down the redness. So that way you still have your red, but it's not as bright as before. And you can control the amount that you put in. Just work on it slowly so that you don't have to keep on mixing. So this is one way to temper down the color. Alright, so I have that. Now I'm going to use a different brush. Let me use a round brush for this one. Oh, you're messy. Oh, yeah. I think it's rather hard to stay clean while painting. We'll definitely get it on our fingers. Earlier, you should have seen me. I mean, I did the gesso, so it was all over me. Okay, so I'm gonna fill in the lips, but I'm not gonna draw like a perfect lip shape. I'm just gonna suggest. Okay, so I think I can even add a little bit of red. Okay, so I'm gonna fill in the lips, some parts. Okay, and I think I'm gonna get some white just to blend it out, just like in the reference. I do like the look, like there's redness, or there's a hint of redness, but then the edges are not too defined, so something like that. Okay, so but it's up to you. Okay, if you want to have definite looking lips, go ahead, do what brings you joy. Okay, so we all have different joys. What brings us joy? I like to paint people, for example, while some like to do landscapes, some like to do abstracts, so it differs for each one of us, and I love it. I mean, if we all paint the same things, that would be boring. So here, as you can see, I mix some white in so I can soften the edges. So just like slowly working on it. Okay, so this is actually my first time to do this mask, because I would normally do this on a face. So this is fun. It's a different experience painting a skin. And of course you need to use a special kind of face paint. And then I'm adding color to the middle part and then blend it out. So actually, just, I don't know, recently, maybe this is a popular way of doing lipstick as well. Like people put intense color in the middle and just like blend it out light. Okay, then you can just add water here just to soften it some more. Okay, so just work in layers. So with acrylic, you can just keep spraying your palette water just to keep it wet, because it dries pretty quickly. Okay, so I like it. Looks more natural. Just gonna add white to the edges. Okay, so what do you guys like to paint? What is your go-to subject, or do you like to mix it up? Okay, so again, don't stress about making it perfect immediately, because you can still work on it later. Okay, and when you feel like you're overworking it or you're messing it up, then that means that's the perfect time to take a break and, you know, just come back with fresh eyes and work on it later. Okay, so that's my lips. I like it. So just like the middle part has the most intense color, but not as red, and I just blended it out a little bit. Okay, so there you go, and I'm gonna wait for this to dry so that it doesn't become too messy before I do the other details here. So now I can go back to the top and work on the design. Okay, so I'll just use my pen just to quickly draw, because I'm going to cover it anyway. So I'll start with, let's see, I'm going to create like a V here. Yeah, okay, I like that. And then here as well. But you can of course sketch this out with a pencil if you're scared that you're gonna mess it up. So you can start with a pencil so you can make mistakes and still erase. Here I'm just I'm just really winging it. Okay, so I'll deepen this V so that they'll meet. Okay, so that's my main design, and I'll just work around this. Okay, so let's go back to the raw umber. Okay, so let's see. I'll use a smaller round brush so that I can control it better. Yes, yes. Once you've improved your technique, it's a great idea to start investing in good brushes. So I'm like that too. When I was just starting out, I didn't really, you know, buy great brushes because I'm still learning. But as I improved, as you improve, you'll start to also want good brushes because they give you a different kind of performance. So this one is a number 3 round. So normally, if I go traveling, I would bring 3 round brushes of different sizes, size 12, 8, and 3 or 4, or 10, 6, and 4, or something like that, and then a flat brush, a rigger brush. So just 5 to 6 brushes, you can already do a lot of things. So, for example, with our brushes, we have this. These brushes I'm using now are from the Turner collection, so that's 13 brushes and 1 palette knife in one set. But we also have the smaller set, which is the Black Tulip, and it has 6 brushes that are really the best starter set because it has a cat's tongue like this, like really really nice brush, cat's tongue. It has 2 round brushes, 2 flat brushes, and it has the very useful rigger brush. So I really love the rigger brush because it's so useful if you need to do scroll work, detail work. It holds a lot of water and pigment, so you don't have to keep redipping, you know. So rigger brush are also a must-have in any watercolor set. Okay, so here, oh wow, really? Tiles? That's so interesting. I don't think I've ever tried to painting wall tiles. So what do you use for that? I'm curious. Okay, so here I've added the arch over the eye socket, and I'm just really playing around with the thickness. So you can adjust it. It's up to you. You can make it thick. Here I'm going to add extra details later, so I'm just covering this now. And I'm really waiting for this part to dry so I can do the teeth part, which really the face won't be complete without it, or the skull rather. Okay, so here I think I've decided to make it thick, so I'll make this thick and then adjust the other one. Okay, so again, take your time, have fun with it. Don't pressure yourself on making it too perfect. If it's not too uniformed, don't worry. You can still make corrections. Just wait for the paint to dry. Sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for the paint to dry and then, you know, making your corrections after. Okay, so I have a tendency to make everything look realistic, so I try to stop myself from that. So things that, you know yourself, you try to work around it to improve yourself. In my case, that's the thing that I'm improving on myself, trying to be more loose, more spontaneous. I like to draw and paint people, so realistically, maybe that's where I get that from. Okay, so I like it, but it feels incomplete, so I'm gonna add red detail as well on the top, just so I can balance the red parts as well. So here I'm gonna add the lace work style. For now, let me add the red part. Okay, so this one, as you can see, I'm painting it a bright red. I don't mind. I want it to be brighter here. It's only the lips that I want to be more subdued, because I don't want it to take away from the skeleton look. So you can look it up online, so you can see inspiration from the different calavera masks that people paint their faces with, or the food that they decorate with, the candy skulls and the chocolate skulls. So it varies. There are some really colorful ones and some ones that look like this, especially the face painting that people do. Okay, so if you have a variety of brushes, it's really going to help you with your painting. So here I've smudged it already, and I'm just going to wait for that to dry and then paint over it with white. So don't stress, everything can be covered up. That's the magic of acrylic painting. Okay, so now I'm going to do the lace kind of detail here. Okay, so let's do that, because this is still a bit wet, so let's just wait a little bit more for it to dry. Okay, so here I'm just sketching it out quickly with paint directly. So the nice thing about working on this skull mask is that you can stop, and then later on you can always add more to it if you feel like it. So just paint you know, the basic look of it, and later on you can slowly add to it. You can even mix your medium. You can start with acrylic, and you can use markers, whatever you feel like, you know, mixing in with. So this is also a great time to use mixed media. So don't be afraid to experiment. Now, you never know what you're gonna get from experimenting. I love to do that. I, of course, come up with failures, but I also love my successes. So that's the fun part with experimenting. Okay, so now I like it. It looks, it's coming together. So it takes patience, but this can totally be personalized according to your own style. So this just needs to be darkened, and then I'll fill in the insides with red. Okay, So let's darken it. Again, you can just draw this all out and then add later, up to you. Okay. Wow, that's so interesting. You're actually making me want to try that, painting on tiles. Okay, so I'm going to use a bright red here. After all, if I find it's too bright later on, I can always paint on top of it with a deeper red. So this would probably be much easier with a paper mache mask. This one is from plastic, so it has a weird texture. But definitely priming it with gesso helped. But it has a velvety texture that I'm not really fond of. But I have this mask, and waste not. It's there. It's just stored. I might as well use it. Okay, but I feel like a paper mache one would be much better. Okay, so I'm liking the look of it. It looks like it's coming together okay. So we have the tendency where we judge our works even before they're finished and like, OMG. Of course, all works have the ugly stage part where everything just looks weird. So just keep on working, and later on judge when you're 90% finished. I have that tendency. I'm like, wow, this is not looking good. But you know, if you're not done, then it's hard to see. So don't be afraid to share your works. I do love it when you share your works in the group. I'm the one who always checks, me and Theodora. So Theodora does lives every Thursday and me every Monday. So you can just check every Monday and every Thursday, and there will be a live from one of us. So if there are things that you want to see, that you want to see us do or to teach you, just let us know and we'll try to cover it. So right now I'm doing a more holiday themed painting, but last time I did how to paint hams, so you can also check that out. All the lives, they're saved in the events tab and the early replays of it. So if you missed some, just have a look at there, or if you're just curious, just check the events tab out and you'll find it there. Okay, so I'll work on the darkening of the lace later on. I think it's going to be much easier to work on that when the red is dried, so that you don't mix them up. Otherwise, the red will be muddied, and the black would, the raw umber would also look muddy. Okay, so now this is kind of dry, so I'm going to add the detail now to make it look nice. Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna just like the skull, because there's no more skin, no more muscle, no more flesh, and everything is gone, just the skeleton. So everything is exposed. So this is the teeth. Okay. And then I'm going to add the lines, saying that this is, looks like a stitch face, but this is this represents the teeth. And I think it's going well. Okay, I'll probably add more later on after class, but for a basic calavera mask, it looks starting to look okay already. So I do like my details, so I'll probably be adding more. So you can play around with your own design. So just check out how it looks like generally and use that as inspiration. And you can even play around with the colors. So when you cross-use your brushes across different mediums, just be sure to wash them properly, especially if you use them for acrylic, because acrylic can dry quickly in between the bristles, and it can affect how your brushes perform. Yeah, I hope you can find some. In where I'm from, I would just go to a arts and crafts shop, and they would usually have it the full mask, the half mask, so you can even play with that. You can play with working on a full mask and a half mask. Okay, so I like it. It looks okay. So I'm gonna add later here. I'm just gonna finish with the whole line so I can see the whole effect. Or I guess you can make your own mask, but I guess you will have to make the mold first. But yeah, you can also try that out. At least you'll have unlimited masks with your mold if you're into sculpture. So I actually miss doing sculptural works. It's also a different, tactile art is also different. Right now I have a small space, so I'm just mainly working with painting and wirework sculptures. So that's the sculptural work that I do. Okay, so I'll add here and here. So you don't have to worry about making everything too perfect, because you know they'll all come together after, and then you can always work on it. Yes, do check them out. I have very varied lives actually. I have one on perspective, one on how to sketch people quickly. So I also have a lot of the painting how-tos. So just check them out. They run long, so if you have the patience, then good for you. But I'm basically just talking and sharing my thoughts and ideas. So it's like that. So just check them out. Like I said, the last one that I did was about how to draw the hand like flat like this, so that you might also find that interesting. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the other lines here and another one here, and I'm liking it. So let's see, I'll just finish off this upper part and this lower part, and I'll end with that. Again, you can always do so much more than what I'm doing. You can add so many other details. Okay, so I'm gonna add the dots that I find here. I do like that effect. But anyway, every Monday I have a live. That's 95% of the time. I rarely miss it. Only if I'm sick or, you know, there's some emergency. But otherwise, you'll find me here every Monday at 10:30, 10:40, around that time. And you can always check the events tab, because that's where we book the lives, and you'll find it, you'll see if there's a live scheduled. Because I would love to invite everyone, but I can't. I think I have a limited number of invites, and they're random. So just check the events tab every now and then. And for now, our schedules are Monday for me and Thursday for Theodora. So don't check Theodora out as well, because of course we both have our own styles, and you never know what you're gonna learn from her as well. So she also likes to paint people. If you see her works, she paints a lot of beautiful beautiful people. Okay, so I'm thinking what to add, what else. So maybe I'll add another scroll like here, just to balance, because this one seems too stark right now. So I'm gonna add this scroll there, and the other side as well. Okay, so it doesn't look like it's balanced. Oh well. Okay, but you get the idea. And then I'm just gonna, I can fix this. So I'm just gonna make this bigger here. So this is the nice thing about doing scroll work. You can just adjust the line weight, and you can make corrections. Okay, so the thing is to have fun, to enjoy what you're doing, so that you'll keep doing it. If you're not enjoying it, then you're bound to, you know, stop doing it, and that will be sad, because our goal with art is that, you know, you find it therapeutic, you find it fulfilling. So don't let others tell you what's nice, what's good. It's all subjective. So we all have our own likes and dislikes, and you can just, you know, explore and learn, keep learning. That's really the best, you know, best way. So like me, I try to keep experimenting. My last interest was trying out leather works. It's also quite interesting. But yeah. Yes, definitely. You can just totally make your own skull mold, and you can have unlimited skulls that you can make from your mold. Why not, right? If you have it there and it's ready, totally use it. Okay, so I'm gonna add more. I'm gonna add extra details here just to balance it out. But basically, this is what it will look like, and I'm gonna mimic this here below so that it balances it. So it's also a matter of balance. So you have to think about, if is the top too heavy, how can I balance it down here? So I have like red, 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 and here too. So I'm gonna add that now before I say goodbye to you guys, just so you can see what I mean. Okay. So I'm gonna start here. So earlier I made a quick sketch of this, and then all these others I just spontaneously decided while painting. But you can totally plan it out if you want. You can, you know, create a sketch first and plan out your design so that you won't have regrets. But if you're like me and you don't mind making mistakes and just, you know, spontaneously try to work on things every now and then go ahead and give it a try. Just remember to enjoy your process. Okay, so if you're using a mask like me, if you also want to paint a mask, then if it's paper mache, I suggest you prime it so that it's much easier surface to paint on. Okay, so here, as you can see, I worked. And then I'm going to do the other part as well. Maybe I should have used my angle brush for this. So I'm going to switch brushes, and I'm going to go back to my angle brush so I can take care of the edges, so that the edges are sharper. And there you go. So really, nothing beats the angle brush for that perfect sharp edge. So if you like to paint, you know, straight lines, buildings, for example, then a flat brush is really handy, especially an angled flat brush. So that's the thing about experimenting with brushes. Each brush you can use in multiple ways, and you really have to experiment. Okay, so already I'm gonna elongate this, because when it's like this you don't really see it, so I'm gonna add more red. So from down there it looked okay, but from the top it wasn't too visible, so I'm gonna add extra length to it, just so it's visible from the top view. Okay, so that's the difference about drawing a 3D mask and drawing on flat paper, because of course, if viewed from an angle, a 3D mask will change. Okay, so after this, I'm going to add extra details like what I did here. So this is not finished and this is not finished, but we're already running long, but you get the idea. So that's the main goal. I'll add red here as well, and the lace work. And here as well, I'll add some more scroll work to balance the scrolls here, here, here. And whatever springs to mind tomorrow when I see it again. It's like when you see your work with fresh eyes, something else pops into your head. So it's like that. Okay, so don't forget to take breaks when you're feeling frustrated. Take breaks and just come back with fresh eyes. Okay, so meanwhile, I'll end this. You get the idea. Thanks for staying with me. I'm gonna show my face again and say goodbye to you guys. Okay, so here is my, let me fix this. Okay, so here is my mask. It's not done, but you already see the effect. It looks really nice. And this seems weird, so I'll fix that too. But anyway, you see the effect it will give you, and you can make as many as you can. You can make many variations, and you can totally have a series of this. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again every Monday. And so goodbye.